8 Civil War slugfests, 1 box, and enough blue-on-gray carnage to make Grant flinch. Welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe, and it is review time. Back in 1975, SPI cranked out the very first quadrigame. It was 4 battles that were run by one lean rule set. It sold like hardtack at Gettysburg. And decision games, they hauled out both quads out of the time capsule, scrubbed off that old 70s ink smell, and stuffed all 8 battles into one deluxe crate. Now, lest you think that there's been 50 years without this, it really hasn't been that way. SPI did the original release back in 75. Then TSR had a version in 84. Decision actually did its own version in 1995. And now, here we are in 2025, and it is time for that deluxeified edition. So you may wonder what's in the box. Well, you get 8 mounted maps. 4, they're double-sided, so there's actually 4 map boards, but they are double-sided. So you get 8 different mounted maps. They are slick and heavy and nice, and definitely an upgrade on the old paper. As far as counters go, they're 3/4 inch squares. They're readable. They are still reminiscent of that old 70s look, but very readable, classic-looking counters, not busy at all, easily readable, easily usable. For the rules, well, the rules are, as I mentioned earlier, short. They get about 8 pages in the rule book. The rule book itself runs about 40, but it's got a bunch of extra stuff in there, including designer notes and all the scenario information for each of the 8 different battles that are covered in the system. You also get 8 different player aid cards. So one covers your basic stuff that you would expect to see on a player's aid card, things like your terrain effects chart, your combat results table, and so on and so forth. But you also get individual setup cards for each of those 8 battles, both for the Confederates and for the Union, of course, which will tell you where to set up your units and how to set up the games and the reinforcement schedules and all that good stuff. So there's a whole lot in here, and if you lose one, don't worry, half these brigades vanished historically anyway. So now let's talk about the mechanics. The mechanics themselves date back to Napoleon at Waterloo. It's a move then fight, rigid zones of control, terrain modifiers, odds-based combat results table. Classic stuff. The one twist that SPI added is attack effectiveness. If you flub an assault and that unit's on the naughty step for the rest of the day, that rule is actually optional. But when you use it, it basically, you make an attack and fail, and you could end up out of combat until the next day. Now, obviously, there are some battles where it all took place on one day, and so in that case, you just lose the use of that unit for the entirety of the rest of the battle, which could be a big blow. So what are we looking at in terms of these deluxe upgrades, you might ask? Well, you get mounted map boards, so you don't have to worry about that curling, ripping, paper, map stuff that we've all dealt with over the years. You get slightly larger counters. They are also of a modern quality. A little bit thicker cardboard. It's got a nice, somewhat glossy finish on it. As I mentioned, very easily readable. They're very well centered, at least mine are. I haven't heard of anyone having any problems with that with this game. You'd also have a bunch of optional rules, like night turns and fatigue, and a stack of variants from Moves magazine and strategy and tactics. So if for the people who like to stretch the boundaries a little bit, there's plenty of extra stuff in here. And so it's basically that 1975 chassis with leather seats and Bluetooth brought up to date for the 21st century. So let's go through some of the mechanics now and talk about not so much how they work, but just in general, my thoughts on them. So in terms of flow and pacing, As I mentioned, this is an I go, you go system, but I think it works very well. Now, this is a classic system, so if you've played, those old games from 50 years ago or 40 years ago or however long ago it may be, this is all going to be very familiar and it's very easy to pick up. But there is plenty of room for strategy. So, in terms of balance, well, most of these games are fairly well balanced. Obviously, some are a little bit more than others in terms of just, the battle setup, because these are designed to be more, not so much arcadey, I guess I would say, if we were talking about a video game, as opposed to more like a simulation style. Now, it's not a real simulation. It is scaled down to a manageable state, I would say. But in general, the balance is good. Some of the battles work better than others. I will admit that. But you have 8 to choose from, so there are plenty of good ones in here. And I won't really spoil the fun. If you're looking for which one's the best, which one's the worst, I'm not going to tell you that, only because I like to leave a little mystery. If you are into the Civil War, you will enjoy the mix of battles included in this box. The art is nice. Nothing fancy. It's not Rick Barber or anything on the map, and the counters are functional with that old school feel. The map is very clear and well done. If you're familiar with Decision Games maps, it fits right into that same look and feel. As far as solo friendliness, is the game solo friendly? It definitely is. There is no hidden information. All the counters are out there for you to see. And as long as you do the, best you can for both sides, it will work very well as a solitaire experience. So let's take a quick lightning round here for pros and cons. So I would say pros. Okay, now this is not a cheap game, but you do get 8 battles for one price. So if you break that down, it's 8 games, and with the shared rule set and everything, all the counters are specifically identified for which battle they go with, so it's easy to keep things organized. But you're basically getting 8 games in one box. So yes, the price is high. I think it's about $140. But I feel like it's probably worth it if you're a Civil War fan. You will get 8 battles and 8 games, essentially. So the rules are accessible. Yes, you can teach the game in 10 minutes and then play all night. So that's a really great plus, in my opinion. You do get the mounted maps and the new counters, and that is a big thing. Now, talking about the cons, I guess, it is, as I mentioned, a little pricey. And if you own the 1990s Decision Games version, it's basically the same thing without the mounted maps and so on and so forth. So you do get some quality, but the game itself hasn't changed all that much in that time frame. The system is old, right? This they haven't gussied it up all that much. You do get all the variants from the magazines, but at its core, this is the system that was laid down back in 1975. So there's nothing like Fog of War, as I mentioned. Command and control is pretty much non-existent in terms of being a game mechanic. And some of the CRT results, maybe because of the nature of the way it works, it can be swingy, right? You are somewhat at the mercy of the dice. That is true of many games. But if you're looking for a con, I would put that in the con category, only because, as I said, this is an old system and we've picked up a lot of nuance in the days since this system was created. So what's my verdict? And who's it for? Well, if you dig quick-fire Civil War set pieces and want an all-in-one library, this deluxe box will hit the spot. Operational purists who crave the latest command and control Chrome stuff, they'll probably call it blue and gray and basic, right? It might not be for those folks who want something a little bit more crunchy to sink their teeth into. But my shelves are keeping it, and the nostalgia per square inch for me is way too strong. This is a fantastic game in my opinion, but as in all things, your mileage may vary. But for me, this is definitely a keeper. Now, that's it for this one. I hope you got what you were looking for here in this review. I haven't done many reviews. I'm going to try to up my review game and do them a little bit more frequently, because I think it's something that I can offer here from the content creator standpoint. So, did this help you dodge decision paralysis? If so, please smash subscribe, ring that bell, and comment below with your favorite ACW battle. Which of these 8 do you think will be your favorite, or maybe is your favorite because you've already got the game? But until next time, this is Joe. It is the Hexed Encounter channel. And like I said, until that next time, keep your hexes all lined up and your counters in the right spots, and may victory be yours.